The phone call came at 2:30 on a Tuesday afternoon. I was reviewing campaign analytics when my sister's name flashed on the screen. Her voice was shaking when I answered. "Sam, you need to come to the hospital. It's Mom." My stomach dropped. "What happened?" "Just come. Please." I grabbed my purse and rushed to Mr. Grayson's office. He was typing furiously, his face lit by the blue glow of his monitor. I knocked softly on the door frame. "Mr. Grayson, I need to leave. It's a family emergency." He didn't look up. "We have the Riverside campaign launching tomorrow. Can it wait? My mother is in the hospital. It's serious." Finally, he looked at me, his expression annoyed rather than concerned. "Samantha, this is terrible timing. We're in the middle of our biggest launch this quarter." My voice cracked. "I understand, but my family needs me." He sighed heavily, like I was inconveniencing him. "Fine. Go. But be back tomorrow morning. We can't afford to have you missing the presentation." I left without another word, tears already streaming down my face as I rushed to my car. Mom passed away 3 hours later. I held her hand as her breathing slowed, then stopped. My sister sobbed beside me while Dad sat frozen, unable to process what had just happened. The world felt hollow. Empty. Like someone had carved out my insides and left nothing but pain. That evening, I texted Mr. Grayson from the hospital waiting room. "My mother passed away. I need to take a few days for funeral arrangements and to be with my family. I'll keep you updated." His response came 30 minutes later. "Sorry for your loss. However, we really need you at tomorrow's presentation. Can someone else handle the funeral details?" I stared at the message, disbelief washing over me. Can someone else handle the funeral? Like planning my mother's burial was equivalent to picking up dry cleaning. My phone kept buzzing. Work emails. Slack messages. A missed call from the office. Even in the hospital, even while my mother's body was still warm, they wanted me working. At the funeral home the next day, my phone vibrated constantly. I finally checked it during a break from choosing caskets. 17 work emails. 9 missed calls. 6 Slack messages. All from the office, all marked urgent. The last message was from HR. My hands trembled as I opened it. "Samantha Torres, effective immediately, your employment with Grayson and Company has been terminated for job abandonment and failure to meet critical work obligations. Please arrange to collect your personal belongings." I read it 3 times, certain I'd misunderstood. They'd fired me for attending my mother's funeral. My sister found me sitting on the funeral home steps, phone in my shaking hands. "Sam. What's wrong?" "I just got fired." The words felt unreal. "For being here. For planning Mom's funeral." She read the email over my shoulder, her face going pale with anger. "That's illegal. You have to sue them." "I can't think about that right now." I looked at the funeral home doors. "I can't think about anything except getting through tomorrow." That night, lying awake in my childhood bedroom, I whispered into the darkness. "He's going to regret this. I don't know how yet, but he will." The funeral was beautiful. Mom would have loved the flowers, the music, the stories people shared about her kindness. But I couldn't fully be present. Part of my mind kept circling back to the email, to the humiliation, to the casual cruelty of being fired during the worst week of my life. After everyone left, I checked LinkedIn out of habit. Mr. Grayson had posted something new that morning. Leadership isn't always comfortable. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions to maintain discipline and standards in the workplace. A company is only as strong as its commitment to excellence, even when that means difficult conversations. #leadership, #business first, #tough decisions. The post had hundreds of likes. Comments praising his strength and dedication. I felt sick. He was using my firing as a leadership lesson. Painting himself as some kind of tough but fair boss who'd made a hard choice. No mention that the tough decision was firing someone for attending their mother's funeral. My friend Rachel commented, "Context matters in leadership. Compassion isn't weakness." She was the only one who knew what had really happened. Everyone else just saw a successful executive sharing wisdom. I closed the app before I said something I'd regret. The next week was a blur of grief and panic. Mom's medical bills arrived. The funeral costs were higher than expected. My rent was due in 2 weeks, and I had no income. I applied to dozens of jobs, but nothing came back quickly enough. The gap in employment, the sudden termination, it all looked bad on applications. One evening, while updating my resume, a notification popped up. A message from David Chin, a small business owner I'd done freelance work for years ago. "Hi Samantha, I saw you're no longer at Grayson & Company. Any chance you're available for freelance projects? Your work was always exceptional, and I have several clients who could use your help." Then another message, from Laura Martinez. "Are you taking freelance clients? I've been trying to find someone with your skills for months." 3 more messages came that night. All from people I'd helped in the past, all asking if I was available. I stared at my laptop screen, an idea forming slowly. Maybe I didn't need another boss. Maybe I didn't need another toxic workplace that valued campaigns over humanity. Maybe I could build something better. Mom's living room became my office. I moved her furniture to the sides, set up a folding table I found in the garage, and positioned my laptop where afternoon light streamed through the windows. I had a 10-year-old computer, a printer I'd bought used on Craigslist, and determination born from grief and anger. The company name came to me while sorting through Mom's things. I found a journal entry she'd written years ago, "Be the light in someone's darkness. That's the only legacy that matters." Lumina Creative. Light for businesses that needed to shine. I registered the business name online, created a simple website using a free template, and reached out to everyone who'd messaged me about freelance work. Within a week, I had 3 small clients. The pay wasn't much, but it was something. More importantly, it was mine. Nobody could fire me for being human. I hung Mom's favorite photograph above my makeshift desk. She was laughing in it, head thrown back, pure joy on her face. "Okay, Mom," I whispered. "Let's build something you'd be proud of." My first major client was Rosa, who owned a small cafe downtown called Morning Brew. She'd been struggling since a corporate coffee chain opened nearby. "I can't compete with their prices," she said during our meeting, stirring her coffee nervously. "But I can offer something they can't: community, personality, real relationships." I spent 2 weeks developing her rebrand. New logo, new social media strategy, a campaign focused on local connection versus corporate convenience. I worked 16-hour days, fueled by coffee and the need to prove myself. The night before the launch, I stayed up until 4 a.m. perfecting every detail. My eyes burned. My back ached. But every pixel, every word, every color choice mattered. Morning Brew's reopening was packed. People lined up down the block. Rosa's social media exploded with positive comments. Within a month, her sales had doubled. She called me crying happy tears. "You saved my business, Samantha. Thank you." That was the moment I knew I'd made the right choice. This felt different than working for Grayson. This felt meaningful. Rosa posted about the rebrand on Facebook, tagging Lumina Creative and writing about how I'd transformed her struggling cafe into a thriving community hub. The post went viral locally. By the next morning, I had 7 new inquiries. One was from Marcus, a former coworker at Grayson & Company. Sam, I heard what happened. It was wrong. I quit last week, the environment there is toxic. Are you hiring? 3 other people from Grayson's company reached out over the next few days. All had similar stories of being undervalued, underpaid, or treated poorly. I hired Marcus as a freelance graphic designer. Then Sarah, who'd been Grayson's social media manager until he'd cut her hours to avoid paying benefits. Then Kevin, a copywriter who'd quit after Grayson yelled at him in front of the entire office. We worked remotely, coordinating through video calls and shared documents. It felt less like a company and more like a family of people who understood what it meant to be treated badly and wanted to build something better. Every meeting started the same way. How is everyone doing today? Really doing? Because we all remembered what it felt like when nobody asked. For months after Mom's funeral, I sat at my laptop late one night, staring at a blank document. I needed to update the Lumina Creative website, but words wouldn't come. Finally, I just wrote from the heart. 4 months ago, I lost my mother. The same day, I lost my job, fired for taking time to grieve and plan her funeral. I was devastated, scared, and angry. But I realized something in that darkness. The best way to honor my mother wasn't to seek revenge against the boss who fired me. It was to build something she would be proud of. Something human. Something kind. I posted it to LinkedIn along with a photo of Mom and me from years ago, both of us laughing at some forgotten joke. I went to bed and didn't check my phone until morning. When I finally looked, I had to refresh the page 3 times to believe the numbers. The post had 5,000 likes. Hundreds of comments. My inbox was flooded with messages. This resonates so deeply. I was fired after my father's heart attack. Your story inspired me to finally start the business I've been dreaming about. Thank you for showing that grace is stronger than bitterness. The inquiries kept coming. By the end of the week, I'd signed 6 new clients. 6 months after starting Lumina Creative, we moved into a small downtown office. It was nothing fancy, exposed brick walls, concrete floors, mismatched furniture we'd found at estate sales. But it had huge windows that flooded the space with natural light, and a warmth that corporate offices never had. On moving day, I hung Mom's photograph in my office, right above my desk where I'd see it every morning. Marcus brought donuts. Sarah decorated with plants. Kevin hung string lights that made the whole space feel magical. We stood together in the middle of the office, looking at what we'd built from nothing but determination and mutual respect. To Lumina, Marcus said, raising his coffee cup. We all raised ours. To Lumina. That night, sitting alone in my new office, I looked at Mom's picture. We did it. We actually did it. For the first time since her funeral, I felt something other than grief. I felt pride. I felt purpose. I felt like maybe, somehow, everything was going to be okay. The email arrived on a Monday morning. I was reviewing proposals when the notification popped up. Subject, Marketing Proposal Request, Urgent Sender, j.grayson@graysonco.com. My coffee cup stopped halfway to my mouth. I stared at the sender's name, heart suddenly pounding. It couldn't be. I opened the email with shaking hands. Dear Lumina Creative Team, Grayson & Company is seeking an experienced marketing agency to assist with a comprehensive rebranding initiative. We've experienced significant client retention challenges and require immediate assistance rebuilding our market presence. We've heard excellent things about your company's work and would like to schedule a consultation to discuss a potential 6-month contract. Please let us know your availability. Best regards, James Grayson, CEO. I read it 3 times. Then a 4th. Then I called Marcus. You're not going to believe who just requested a proposal. Who? Grayson. Silence. Then, you're Grayson? The one who fired you? The very same. What are you going to do? I looked at Mom's photograph. What would she do? She'd always said the best revenge was success, not cruelty. That grace was stronger than grudges. I'm going to schedule a call, I said slowly. And we're going to give them the most professional proposal they've ever seen. The proposal took 3 days to perfect. We researched Grayson and Company's recent struggles. They'd lost their 3 biggest clients in the past 4 months. Their social media presence had tanked. Employee reviews on Glassdoor were brutal, citing toxic culture and poor leadership. They were drowning, and they knew it. I kept the email professional and warm. Mr. Grayson, thank you for considering Lumina Creative. We'd be happy to discuss how we can help rebuild your brand presence. Would Thursday at 2 work for an initial consultation? His response came within an hour. Perfect. I'll send the Zoom link. Thursday arrived too quickly and too slowly. I changed outfits 3 times, wanting to look professional but not like I was trying too hard. Sarah talked me through my nerves. You've got this. You're not the same person he fired. You're the CEO of a successful company. At 2 o'clock, I clicked the Zoom link. Mr. Grayson's face appeared on screen, and I felt a jolt of satisfaction. He looked older, more tired. Stress lines creased his forehead. His confidence seemed diminished. Thank you for taking this meeting, he began. We're in a difficult position and need help urgently. He didn't recognize me. My hair was different, I was wearing glasses now, and he'd probably never really looked at me anyway. We'd be happy to help, I said calmly. Tell me about your challenges. The meeting lasted an hour. Mr. Grayson explained how they'd lost clients due to missed deadlines and poor communication. How their team was struggling with morale. How they needed a complete image overhaul. At one point, he complained about former employees. People today are too emotional. They can't handle pressure. My last project manager quit right in the middle of a major campaign, just walked away with no notice. I bit my tongue. That project manager had been fired for attending her mother's funeral, but why let facts interrupt his narrative? That must have been difficult, I said neutrally. Communication and empathy are crucial in leadership. Exactly. If only more people understood that. The irony was completely lost on him. By the end of the call, he was practically begging. Your company's reputation is stellar. We need someone like you. What would it take to secure your services? Let me put together a comprehensive proposal. I'll have it to you by Monday. After the call ended, I sat in silence, processing. He still didn't recognize me. 6 months ago, I'd been dismissed as disposable. Now I held all the power, and he had no idea. Sarah knocked on my door. How did it go? He wants us. Badly. Are we taking the contract? I thought about it. Yes. But on our terms. The proposal I sent was thorough, professional, and expensive. 6 months of comprehensive services, rebranding, social media management, content creation, reputation repair. Total cost, $95,000. I included terms that protected my team. Clear boundaries around communication hours. Respect clauses. A requirement for upfront payment of 50%. I hit send and waited. Mr. Grayson called within 2 hours. This is exactly what we need. When can you start? As soon as the contract is signed and the initial payment clears. Done. I'll have my assistant send the paperwork today. Just like that, the man who'd fired me for grieving was now paying me nearly 6 figures to save his failing company. Marcus whistled when I told the team. That's some poetic justice. Justice hasn't happened yet, I said. First, we do exceptional work. We show him what he lost when he fired me. Then, when the job is done perfectly, he'll understand exactly who he dismissed. Sarah grinned. You're playing the long game. Always. I looked at Mom's photograph. The best revenge isn't hurting them. It's succeeding so completely that they regret ever underestimating you. The contract arrived the next morning. I read every line carefully, had my lawyer review it, then signed it with hands that didn't shake. The 50% payment cleared 2 days later. $47,000 in Lumina Creative's account. 6 months ago, I'd been fired and broke, scrambling to pay rent. Now I was running a successful company with a contract worth more than I'd made in an entire year at Grayson & Company. We scheduled the kickoff meeting for the following Monday. This time, I'd attend in person. I chose my outfit carefully. Professional navy suit, my mother's pearl earrings, hair styled but not overly done. Confident but not cocky. Sarah drove with me for moral support. Are you nervous? Terrified, I admitted. But also ready. We arrived 15 minutes early. The receptionist, new since I'd worked there, asked us to wait. I looked around the lobby, remembering my last day here. How I'd rushed out in tears to get to the hospital. How nobody had checked if I was okay. Miss Torres? The receptionist smiled. Mr. Grayson is ready for you. I took a deep breath and walked into the conference room. Mr. Grayson stood at the head of the table, surrounded by his executive team. He extended his hand with a broad smile. Ms. Torres, so glad to finally meet in. He froze mid-sentence, hands still outstretched. His face went pale as recognition crashed over him. You, he whispered. I shook his hand firmly, keeping my expression professional. Hello, Mr. Grayson. Yes, it's me. Samantha Torres, the project manager you fired 6 months ago for taking time off to attend my mother's funeral. The room went silent. Everyone stared. I continued calmly, but don't worry. Despite our history, Lumina Creative is committed to providing exceptional service. We're professionals, and we keep our promises. Shall we discuss the project timeline? Mr. Grayson stammered, trying to find words. His marketing director, someone I'd never met, looked confused. His CFO, who'd been there when I was fired, looked horrified. I didn't realize. Mr. Grayson started. That the project manager you dismissed would go on to build a successful agency? I smiled coolly. Life is full of surprises. Now, let's talk about saving your company's reputation, shall we? The meeting lasted 2 hours. Professional. Productive. Absolutely excruciating for Mr. Grayson. After the meeting, Mr. Grayson asked to speak with me privately. We stood in his office, the same office where he'd been annoyed by my family emergency 6 months ago. Samantha, I need to apologize. For what, specifically? I kept my voice level. For firing you. For the timing. He ran his hand through his hair. For not understanding what you were going through. You fired me for being human, I said quietly. For grieving my mother. For choosing family over a campaign launch that, by the way, failed spectacularly without me. He flinched. I know. I made a terrible mistake. Yes, you did. But let me be clear about something, Mr. Grayson. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because you signed a contract, and I honor my commitments. Lumina Creative will deliver exceptional work because that's what we do. Not because of our history, but despite it. I understand. Do you? I looked him in the eye. Do you understand what it felt like to lose my mother and my job in the same week? To be treated like I was disposable because I needed to grieve? He was quiet for a long moment. No. I don't think I can. Then let this be a lesson, I said. The people you dismiss, the humanity you ignore, it matters. It always matters. I walked out without waiting for his response. Despite the tension, we did exceptional work. Sarah crafted a brilliant social media strategy. Marcus designed a clean, modern rebrand. Kevin wrote compelling content that felt authentic rather than corporate. I reviewed everything personally, ensuring each deliverable exceeded expectations. Not for Mr. Grayson's sake, but for ours. Lumina Creative's reputation was built on quality, and I wouldn't compromise that. Over the next 3 months, we met with Grayson's team regularly. I watched something shift in the company culture. My team's professionalism, our emphasis on communication and respect, it created contrast with how things had been. One afternoon, Mr. Grayson's assistant, Jennifer, pulled me aside after a meeting. "Can I tell you something?" she asked nervously. "Of course. People are noticing the difference. How your team treats us with respect. How you listen. Some of us are updating our resumes." She paused. "Not to leave, to apply to work for you." The words hit me harder than expected. "Thank you for telling me." That evening, I told my team what Jennifer had said. Marcus laughed. "We're accidentally showing them what good leadership looks like." "Not accidentally," I corrected. "Intentionally. That's the whole point." The rebrand launched on a Wednesday morning. New website, refreshed social media presence, a press release announcing Grayson and Company's renewed commitment to client relationships and authentic communication. Within hours, the response was positive. Former clients reached out. Media outlets requested interviews. The Business Journal did a feature story. But they didn't credit Grayson exclusively. The article headline read, "Local agency Lumina Creative breathes new life into struggling marketing firm." The journalist had interviewed me, and I'd been careful with my words. Success in business requires empathy and authentic leadership. When companies prioritize people, both employees and clients, over profit alone, everyone benefits. The subtext was clear to anyone who knew the story. I never mentioned being fired, never threw shade directly. But readers understood. Comments flooded in on social media. "This is what ethical business looks like. Lumina Creative gets it, humanity matters. Leadership through compassion, not intimidation." Mr. Grayson called me that evening. "The launch is a success." "Thank you." "You're welcome. That's what you paid for." The article, it made you the hero of the story. "I didn't write the article, Mr. Grayson. I just answered questions honestly." He was quiet. "Then, you could have destroyed my reputation. You could have told everyone what I did. But you didn't." "Revenge through humiliation isn't my style," I said. "Success is better than spite." 2 weeks after the launch, Mr. Grayson requested a private meeting. We met at a neutral coffee shop, not his office. He looked different, humbler, somehow. Less of the swagger that had defined him before. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he began. "About leadership, about what matters, about the kind of person I've been." I sipped my coffee and waited. I was wrong. Not just about firing you, but about everything. The way I treated people, the culture I created, the priorities I emphasized. He met my eyes. "You didn't just save my company's image. You showed me what I'd become. And I didn't like it. I'm not your therapist, Mr. Grayson. I know. But I wanted you to know that you've changed how I lead. I've implemented mental health days. Created bereavement leave policies. Started actually listening to my team." He paused. "It's not about making amends to you. It's about being better going forward." For the first time since Mom died, I felt something soften in my chest. That's good. People deserve to be treated like humans, not productivity machines. I'm sorry. For everything. I can't take back what I did, but I am genuinely sorry. I nodded slowly. I appreciate that. Thank you. We parted ways cordially, not as friends, but no longer as enemies. Just two people who'd learned hard lessons from each other. A month later, I received an invitation to speak at the Regional Business Leadership Conference. The topic, Resilience and Ethics in Modern Business. I almost declined. Public speaking terrified me. But Sarah convinced me. Your story matters, Sam. People need to hear it. The conference was held in a hotel ballroom packed with 300 business leaders. I stood backstage, hands shaking, while someone introduced me. When I walked out, the lights were blinding. But I found Mom's photograph in my mind and pretended I was talking to her. 6 months ago, I was fired for attending my mother's funeral. I let that sink in. My boss decided that a campaign launch was more important than my grief. And honestly, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I told the story, not with bitterness, but with honesty. The pain, the fear, the decision to build something better. The success that came from choosing humanity over revenge. Here's what I learned, I said, voice steady now. The people you dismiss today might be the ones signing your paycheck tomorrow. The humanity you ignore will eventually matter. Success built on cruelty is unstable. But success built on respect? That lasts. The audience stood and applauded. Questions came rapidly afterward. Stories poured in from people who'd experienced similar situations. The speech was recorded and posted online. By the next morning, it had gone viral. Lumina Creative exploded after the conference. We hired 3 more full-time employees and 5 freelancers. Moved into a larger office with room for everyone to work comfortably. But more importantly, we maintained our culture. Every Friday, we had team check-ins, not about projects, but about people. How are you really doing? What do you need? We implemented policies I'd wished for at Grayson and Company. Unlimited mental health days. 2 weeks bereavement leave, no questions asked. Flexible hours for parents and caregivers. Profit sharing so everyone benefited from our success. One afternoon, Marcus found me reorganizing my office. Remember when we started this in your mom's living room? Feels like a lifetime ago. You've built something special, Sam. Not just a company, a place where people feel valued. I looked around at our team, laughing and working together. That was always the point. Mom used to say that how you treat people in their worst moments defines who you are. I wanted to build a company that remembered that. She'd be proud. Yeah, I said softly. I think she would be. 7 months after our contract began, Mr. Grayson's company went under. Not because of our work, that had been successful. But because years of poor leadership, toxic culture, and burned bridges finally caught up with him. A business reporter called me for a comment. Grayson and Company has filed for bankruptcy. As someone who recently worked with them, do you have any thoughts? I chose my words carefully. I hope Mr. Grayson finds peace and learns from this experience. Business is about more than profit, it's about people. I wish him well in his next chapter. The reporter seemed surprised by my graciousness. But revenge had never been the goal. Growth had been the goal. Success had been the goal. Building something better had been the goal. That evening, Mr. Grayson sent a final email. Thank you for treating me with more kindness than I deserved. You're a better person than I am. Good luck with everything. I didn't respond. Some chapters just need to close quietly. On the first anniversary of Mom's death, I drove to the cemetery with flowers and a framed magazine cover. Business Quarterly had featured Lumina Creative as one of the top emerging agencies in the region. I sat by her grave, setting the flowers and magazine gently on the grass. "Hey, Mom. It's been a year." My voice cracked. "I miss you every single day. But I did what you always taught me. I chose kindness over cruelty. I built something that helps people. I turned the worst thing that ever happened to me into something good." The wind rustled through the trees. Somewhere nearby, birds sang. "Mr. Grayson fired me for grieving you. For choosing to be here with you and Dad and the family. And you know what? I don't regret a single thing. Because losing that job led me here. To this company, this team, this life where I get to make a difference." I traced her name on the headstone. "Everything I've built, it's because you taught me that kindness isn't weakness. That treating people with dignity matters more than profit. That being human is never something to apologize for." I stayed for an hour, telling her about the business, the team, the lives we'd changed. When I finally left, I felt lighter somehow. Still sad, always missing her, but no longer drowning in that grief. 2 years after starting Lumina Creative, I stood in our new headquarters, a full floor in a downtown building with windows overlooking the city. We'd grown to 20 employees, served over 100 clients, and maintained the culture we'd built from day one. During our anniversary celebration, I gathered everyone together. "I want to tell you why this company exists," I began. 2 years ago, I was fired for attending my mother's funeral. My boss told me that work was more important than grief. That my humanity was inconvenient. I paused, looking at each face in the room. He was wrong. And 6 months later, when his company was failing, he begged me for help. But I didn't gloat. I didn't seek revenge. I did excellent work because that's who we are. Sarah raised her glass. "To Lumina." Everyone echoed, "To Lumina." That evening, after everyone left, I stood alone in my office. Mom's photograph sat on my desk, her smile as bright as ever. I thought about Mr. Grayson's LinkedIn post from 2 years ago. About tough decisions and discipline. About how wrong he'd been. The best revenge wasn't watching him fail. It was standing tall when he'd expected me to crumble. It was building something beautiful from something broken. It was proving that kindness and success weren't opposites, they were partners. My phone buzzed with a message from a potential client. Another small business owner who'd heard about our work and wanted help growing with integrity. I smiled and typed back, "We'd love to help." Because that's what Lumina Creative did. We helped people shine. We remembered that behind every business were humans with dreams and struggles and stories. And we never, ever forgot what it felt like to be dismissed. Mom had always said to be the light. 2 years later, we were lighting the way for others. And that was better than any revenge could ever be.